Yeah, we didn't have this.
You are now listening to Sports Talk 916 with Greg Bull and Coach Greg Veroza.
Hey, what's going on? Like Greg stole my thunder. Episode 241. Missed you guys for a couple of weeks. A lot of stuff going on. But welcome back. We're glad to be here. I'm Coach Greg. It's my friend, Mr. Chief, Greg Bull. Two-headed monsters of Sports Talk 916. Monsters of Greg. That's what it's been so long I haven't said that.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So we're glad to be here. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff to talk to. Happy Masters Sunday. The biggest thing going on today. The only real sporting event going on today.
Someone has something to say about that.
Brock Lesnar.
It's WrestleMania Day. Happy Rusev Day. Happy WrestleMania Day.
What's Rusev Day?
It's just a part of the wrestling thing. It is WrestleMania Sunday.
So happy fake dancing around and stuntmen competition with all the winners already figured out. I got one prediction.
You go do that.
I got one prediction.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar's going to lose.
Yes, he is.
Because he's going to the UFC.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Hold on. Just want to test, see how we sound here. Hold on.
Happy Rusev Day. Happy WrestleMania Day.
We sound clear.
Yeah.
Woohoo. All right. So.
Hey, by the way, did you see the... quit playing with your stuff. Quit playing with your stuff.
Quit playing with myself.
Hey, did you see the Ric Flair 30 for 30?
I did. I saw half of it. And
I did too. I saw
it was
about half.
pretty damn good.
It was really good. The coolest part was hearing the Undertaker actually talk like a normal human being.
Mark Calloway.
Is that what his name is?
Yes, it is.
I was gonna Wikipedia that.
So
Is he really? What's his brother in?
Kane? No, they're not really.
They're
brothers.
not really brothers.
There's a lot of rumors swirling around the Undertaker for WrestleMania today, and I'll give you my prediction on that and some of the rumors, but that'll be at the end of the show. We're going to talk about real sports. Let's start first with the UFC, because in my opinion, the UFC is dying, and it's dying a quick and painful death that ever since Dana White sold his portion of the show or the production, the product,
company.
It's gone downhill. And there was a lot of talk recently that McGregor Mayweather was going to happen in the Octagon, and it was going to happen.
Stupid.
It was going to happen in June, and it was all over ESPN. It was everywhere. And to me, that was the first sign of struggle. And then this last pay-per-view event, which happened yesterday, 223, it was as a non-big UFC fan, like I enjoy it, but I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah, me too.
I look at UFC now, and I look at all the people that are fighting for the titles and all this other shit, and the first word out of my mouth is who.
Right.
I don't know anybody. There's no names that are a draw for UFC.
No.
And
in fact, so I usually end up at Folsom Lake Bowl on Saturday nights playing cards. And when UFC was really big, and when I started playing up there a couple years ago, on UFC nights, to get into the tournament and just to get into the bar, you had to be there an hour and a half early.
Right.
And to find a parking place, you know what that parking lot's like.
The place is a shithole.
Yeah, it is. They usually open up an auxiliary parking lot back behind in the dirt. And if you weren't there an hour and a half early, you weren't parking there. You had to park in a shopping center down the street. Now, the bar itself is barely half full.
Yeah.
The last time it was really full was McGregor Mayweather. And so last night we were talking, and there's a few guys that play cards that are big UFC guys, and they had to explain who the main event was.
Right.
And it was two women, and there was one guy, and I don't remember because I wasn't listening to it. And actually, I was watching the Giants game instead of this. There was one dude, white guy, dark guy. I turned to the guy next to me and go, he doesn't look like a fighter. He looks like either a comedian or a professor. I mean, long dark hair, black beard, skinny, scrawny, and he won. But they don't have any stars. At least 2 years ago, you knew. Even being a non-UFC fan, I knew who some of the players were.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like you didn't know who they were. Like, you knew enough about them to get excited. Oh, BJ Penn's fighting. Oh,
right.
One of the Diaz brothers is fighting. McGregor.
Or Uriah's.
That's a Sacramento more than anything, I think. But it goes back to the Chuck Liddells and the Tito Ortizes. And
right.
Those guys not only had name recognition, but they had a story behind them that you knew. Even on the women's side, Miesha Tate, Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey. Cyborg was hyped up. Like, I think out of all of those, I think the only one that's really relevant right now, and it's not even real relevancy, is Cyborg.
Yeah.
And there's so much speculation around steroids and all this other shit around her that it kind of tarnishes what she does. And part of me feels like this whole Conor McGregor thing that happened during the press conference the other day was a bit of a job by UFC to get more attention back on him. I don't feel that it was a full-fledged freak out by Conor McGregor. I feel that it was a job. He was supposed to show up and he was supposed to, ruffle some feathers. And I think that him being the lunatic that he is ultimately was the one that escalated it to the level that it went to, and it went way further than it ever anticipated. But my first reaction when I saw him running around like an idiot and going crazy and running with the barricade and, everything. I think up until that point and like grabbing garbage cans, it was, this is a job. And then he threw the fucking hand truck dolly through the window and busted the dudes up and got glass in the other guy's eye. And I'm like, okay, he took that a little bit further than I think they anticipated, because Dana White was like quick. They're like, is this Dana Conor McGregor? Do you want to work with him anymore? And he's like, would you? Like, he already had, like, there was no emotion. There was no, like, panic. There was no concern with his top guy ultimately.
His only guy.
His only name ultimately going haywire. He was just like, yeah, we're done with him. I'm done with Conor McGregor. Are you sure? Do you really want to say you're done with the only guy that's a money draw for you right now? And I don't know. I think a lot of it was premeditated. I think a lot of it was, I think a lot of it did stem from McGregor being upset that they were stripping him of his second title because he hasn't defended it in so long. Ultimately, the outcome of 223's main event was for one of his titles.
Sorry,
but it's like, we joke about it all the time, like, oh, the UFC's the real one, and whatever. But it was very WWE-esque to me.
It was.
And I almost feel like the reason why they jobbed it up so high was because this pay-per-view happened on WrestleMania weekend. WrestleMania is one of the biggest draws, whether or not you like WWE or not. It's one of the biggest entertainment draws of the year.
Yeah, no, I get it.
They have, when they land in, so they do Monday Night Raw and SmackDown the Monday and Tuesday prior to WrestleMania. They don't.
Where's WrestleMania at this year?
New Orleans.
Okay.
They don't do any house shows like they normally do, because normally these guys work 6 days a week.
Right.
They don't do any house shows Wednesday through the weekend. And then on Wednesday morning, they open up WWE Access, which is basically the museum and the stores that have all the exclusive, and they have fan meet and greets, and they have just all of this, like, it's basically like media week for the Super Bowl jammed into 2 days, Wednesday, Thursday.
Okay.
And then Friday, they do the WWE Hall of Fame.
Who got in this year?
This year was Mark Henry, the Dudley Boys, Kid Rock went in as the celebrity wing. And then a couple other guys went into it. Goldberg was the headliner that went into it. So Friday's the Hall of Fame, and then Saturday, now that Triple H has NXT, which is basically like the AAA of WWE, they have a spectacle where they do their takeover show once a year, and that almost has as big of a draw as WrestleManias in the past have, because people are so entrenched in NXT. If you don't like wrestling for the soap opera-esque storylines and whatever, you watch NXT, because it's literally just an hour a week of match after match after match after match. There's no build-up. There's no over-the-top storyline. It's, I don't like you. You don't like me. We're going to fight. And that's all it is. And it's just bare bones, and it's awesome. And then Sunday's WrestleMania. I don't think UFC, with the names that they had on this ticket, would even compete ratings-wise with NXT, which doesn't even air on TV. It was on the WWE Network only.
Wow.
And I don't think that UFC would have had a draw enough, even if NXT was a pay-per-view. I think NXT would have outdrawn UFC for this weekend, because there's just nobody there. And they were like, okay, you know what? We need to throw McGregor into the mix. We need to get someone talking about it, because once it happened, TMZ, ESPN, CNN, MSNBC, all of them, everyone was cutting to it. And I think that was the big thing, that UFC was like, fuck, we're screwed this weekend. We have 2 title fights that nobody's going to give a flying fuck about, because somebody decided to book it at the same damn time as WWE. And it wasn't even like, if it was in Vegas, I don't think they would have had that issue, but it was in New York. All the East Coasters, essentially, that are some sort of entertainment fan in that way, I think at that point with the name draw would be more inclined to go to try to get to WWE or watch it over there than they would have the UFC event this weekend. If WWE was in New Orleans and the UFC fight was in Vegas, I don't think there's a problem, because there's enough of a disconnect geographically. The fact that they're both
I'm
in
not
the
sure
same
about
region,
that.
There were enough people on Bourbon Street after the Hall of Fame Friday night that it looked like the middle of Mardi Gras on a Friday. Bourbon Street was shoulder to shoulder, ass to elbows everywhere. There were so many fucking people out there, it was ridiculous. They were saying that the night of the WrestleMania week when they're in New Orleans is about a 50 to 75% draw of the revenue that they make off of Mardi Gras.
Wow.
So that just tells you how many people flock out there.
Right.
And
then it was also the end of spring break for some people. So
yeah, it was.
You get that, and there's a lot of things. I think the first sign of UFC really starting to lose it was the announcement that they're bringing Brock Lesnar back.
Yeah.
You know, with all the fanfare and all the crap that went on when he was around the first time, and the failing of the steroid test, which wasn't really a shock, right? For them to bring him back really says we don't know what the fuck to do. We don't have anything. We don't have anybody in our stable that has as big of a name or a drawing power as somebody who we kicked out of our organization because he got busted for doing steroids.
The problem with that, though, is Brock's not a good fighter.
No. And so to pin their future on somebody who is not a great fighter, who's already failed steroid tests, when one of your claims to fame is, you know, our guys are clean. We fight. We're natural. We fight. Nobody gets hurt. There's not the concussion problem because we stay on top of things. We stop fights quickly. When you're pinning all your hopes on somebody who is that much of was basically a clusterfuck the first time around.
Brock Lesnar.
You know, that's what he has going for him. He's got that Brock Lesnar persona that the guy is he's bigger than anybody else in the world.
And that's my question for you. Who the fuck in UFC right now can they put up against Brock that's not going to be it's not going to be a squash match?
Nobody.
You know, it's funny.
And the thing is, you call it a squash match, but Lesnar really, has less than a 50-50 shot of winning.
Even with a scrub.
Yeah.
And that's funny. We keep referencing the WWE thing with it. Squash matches are huge when WWE debuts a new big guy, supposed to be the big dominant guy. They'll bring in like local wrestlers that are like smaller than me that couldn't, curl a 10-pound dumbbell.
Right.
And they throw them out there against guys like Brock or Braun Strowman, who's 380 pounds. And they're like, go. And you're like, they punch them once it's down. It's literally a 30-second match just to make these guys look tougher.
Right.
UFC doesn't have a jobber out there that would make Brock tougher unless they threw me out there. Because the thing is, like you said, if you get technical, he doesn't have that technical advantage. All he does is try to club people. And was it Frank Mir that showed that? Was it Mir that he fought 3 different times that it was like 2 and 2 or whatever, where they literally just straight took him down to once it went to the ground, Brock was pretty much toast. I just don't see UFC making their money with Brock as their headliner, because let's face it, right now you don't have the Diaz brothers. The Diaz brothers were a big money draw. You don't have Uriah anymore, who was a mid-level money draw.
I think Uriah was bigger than that. I mean, he was big in Sacramento, but he had a pretty good following.
You still have what's his name, Chad Mendez. He's still around a little bit. There's a lot of up and comers, but it's gonna be a couple of years before those up and comers are household names that are really gonna be a money draw.
Right, and bringing back to Brock one more time is I don't think UFC fans want to see that, what you call a squash match. They don't want to see some guy come in and destroy somebody in 45 seconds. One, because the pay-per-views are too damn expensive.
Right.
And 2, they have to go out to a bar and watch it there, or the tickets to the events are not cheap either. So those guys, people that pay for UFC stuff, are not going to want to see somebody get beat. They want to see stuff go 4 or 5 rounds. They want to see, somebody get beat in the middle of the third or end of the third round. They don't want to see a fight that lasts a minute and a half.
Right.
Because it's just that's not what those guys want. They want to see the brutality. And the difference between UFC and WWE is the UFC is real. So it's basically real WWE, where they're getting their asses beat, and you can see it, and it's real, and it's real violence, and that's what draws those people to those events. Having somebody come in and fight for 45 seconds, people aren't going to like that, and that's not going to build the UFC brand. The other thing that stuck with me last night was I saw the lead up of the main event, and then I didn't even stick around for the main event. But they were hyping up the girl with the shaved head. I don't know what her name is.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. And she was the most successful female fighter in UFC history.
Okay.
She had 8 wins.
Jesus.
She had 8 wins. And now I don't know if that was 8 title defenses or if that was just 8 wins. And I realize it's going to take a little while. UFC is still relatively new, but it's not, though. There's been 223 pay-per-view events. So to have your most successful fighter in a division, and women are legit fighters now.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Only have 8 wins really tells you that they did a really poor job of developing young talent, because especially with the women, we've gone a couple of years where somebody gets built up and then they get their ass handed to them. Ronda. And so the next girl comes in and she gets built up and she gets her ass handed to her.
Yep.
And then, and it keeps going over and over. So you've lost 4 or 5 good quality fighters because they've lost, and it wasn't close losses. It was, they got their asses handed to them. And, I think the one of the other problems that they had, especially with the women, is they put way too much stock in Ronda.
Way too much stock.
Built her up.
Well, and then not only that, once Ronda lost, they put all the stock in Holly Holm. Oh my God, she's the next greatest thing. She can't lose. She beat Ronda. Blah 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 blah. And then Misha Tate's like, hold my beer. I got this. and then Tate not retiring, but then she gets pregnant, so she's by default out. Yeah, I don't think I honestly think that the writing, like we said in the very beginning, the writing started to be on the wall when Dana White sold off his portion of the ownership. The second he started to bail, should have told somebody something that, hey, you know what, this is getting bad.
Well, I'm not sure he's bailing because he's been involved and he's running the thing.
Yeah, but he took he basically started taking a paycheck instead of signing the checks.
Right.
Which tells me that there's something happening where he'd rather get paid than be the one paying and make more money. I mean, he's basically cementing himself a check as opposed to making sure that his name's on the checks that are going to get cashed.
Right.
So let's talk baseball real quick. But first, as I mentioned on Facebook, if you follow us on Facebook, you would have seen it. We do, hold on. TJ, totally agree. Ronda Rousey was hyped up and didn't live up to it. Exactly. As I mentioned, we have a new sponsor. Albert Chavez is a mortgage broker who helped me get my home. He's worked with Greg Veroza quite a few times. He's joined the Sports Talk 916 family, and he wants to help get you into a home as well. Let me go ahead and just read this. Future home buyers, the market is super competitive. He has a magic formula that he calls 10, 10, and 10. 10-day clear to close, 10-day loan contingency removal, and a 10-day appraisal contingency. If you're looking to get your offer accepted and compete with cash offers, contact Albert today. If your purchase is over $400,000, he can also save you at least $4,000 in fees as well because they are the broker. Don't hesitate. Give him a call today. This is a game changer. 916-230-1537. Albert Chavez. He calls himself the mortgage king for a reason. He's very good at what he does, and he can definitely help you out.
Go ahead.
916-230-1537.
Let me piggyback on that a little bit. So, in the real world, that's what I do. I'm a realtor. And the biggest component of getting you in a house is the lending part of it. Obviously, you need to have the money. And in order to have the money, you have to have somebody that's doing your loan that knows what's going on. I mean, a lot of people go to Rocket Mortgage, or they go to Redfin, or they go, somebody had somebody from back east. And anytime that I hear that you're not using a local lender, I get chills because I know it's going to be a pain in the ass transaction. You need somebody there who's going to be able to pick up the phone anytime, going to be able to problem solve right away, and not have to wait till business hours on Monday. And usually it's business hours Eastern or Central time. And they don't know the market. They don't know you. They don't care about you. You're just a file. And the thing about Albert is he gets invested in you as a person. He gets to know you. He becomes really part of your family, and in a good way, because he wants what's best for you and your family. And so when I get the chance to work with somebody like Albert, who is so knowledgeable with things and so caring and such a just a strong presence in the transaction, it really makes the whole real estate transaction that much easier. And it can be really scary and it can be really tough. So, if you're thinking about buying, you need to call Albert. Tell him I sent you. Hopefully use me too.
We'll get to Veroza here in a minute.
Right. But you really owe it to yourself to use somebody like Albert, who is local, who is knowledgeable about the market, who's knowledgeable about what's going on here in Sacramento, and who's available to you. So that's my little thing on that. So welcome, Albert. Thank you for your support, and we'll be talking here pretty soon.
Give his number again, 916-230-1537. Let's talk some baseball. Adam Sierra just joined in. Adam is a big Arizona Diamondbacks fan. Definitely got to give the Diamondbacks credit. They're playing baseball out of their minds right now. They swept the Dodgers over the weekend. They are leading the NL West, and they are going to be a tough component for anybody that wants to get through the NL West and into the postseason. I know it's early in the season, but the Diamondbacks are playing great baseball. Not so great baseball is the Dodgers. They are now 2-6.
Darn.
Those 2 wins coming against the Giants early in the season, but that's okay. But I want to start off with the Oakland Athletics, because on opening day, Thursday the 29th of March, I was in baseball mode. I didn't care what game it was. I watched the Cubs and Marlins game. I watched the A's and Angels game from the Coliseum.
Shohei Ohtani.
No, it wasn't A's and Angels, was it? Was it A's?
Yeah,
and
they opened up. Yeah, no.
Okay, so I watched that, and we'll get to Ohtani here in a minute as well. But opening day,
You were geeked. You were geeked about baseball.
oh, I'm still geeked. We're a week and a half in, and I'm still geeked up about it. But A's fans, I don't get it. They did a panoramic view as they're announcing all these 50 greatest players and all this other stuff at the A's game on the opener. And the camera pans the stadium, and the fucking place was empty. Now, I get it. It was a Thursday at 1, but baseball fans find ways to get that day off of work, okay?
Yep.
It's a national damn holiday, or at least it should be. And there was nobody there. I had a friend there. And I'm like, hey, do me a favor. Send me pictures at like the 6th inning. I want to see if it's just late people showing up. The only section that was full was from basically the on-deck circle to the on-deck circle in the lower bowl. The upper bowl was scattered. The outer bowl, from the dugouts on were scattered. There was nobody there.
And I think they've uncovered the third deck too, right?
No, it's covered again.
Is it?
But I was looking at this. The A's and Patrick Kilkenny, he's always on. He always listens with us. He's a huge A's fan.
Right.
And he posted on April 4th. So that's a week into the season. That was this was this Tuesday. April 4th, PK posted on Facebook, you know what? I'm still proud of my A's, but there were 7,600 people at the game today. 7,600 people at the game. The Coliseum seats 35,300 for a baseball game without the top covered.
Wow.
Or with the top covered. 35,000. They had 7,000 fucking people. And I have the A's average attendance right now. Okay? They're beating one team in baseball when it comes to attendance.
I can guess, I bet.
You won't get it right, but who?
Miami?
No.
Really?
They're beating the Cubs right now because the Cubs haven't played a home game yet. The Cubs have 0 because they have only played 8 away games. The Cubs haven't had their home opener yet. Oakland, in 8 games, has had 121,698 people go through their turnstiles. The Marlins have only had 94,000, Pittsburgh 85,000, Tampa 82,000, and the White Sox 49,000. But that's because they played less games. The White Sox have only had 2 home games. They're averaging 15,212 a game. 15,000 people are averaging right now in the Coliseum. To put that in perspective, the top 2 teams right now, the Dodgers are the top with only, let's put it this way. Oakland's played 8 games and had 121,698, right? Mm-hmm. The Dodgers have played 4 home games. 4 against the Giants. 194,877 have been at those games. 48,000 on average. The Giants are in 4th with only 3 home games. This is even worse for the A's. 3 home games for the Giants. 125,791. They have 4,000 more people at a Giants game on average in half the amount of games than the A's fans are. If the A's fans expect management to pay off the loan they have with Oakland to build at the Coliseum site, or if they want them to get into Howard Terminal, or if they want a new stadium anywhere in Oakland, you gotta have more than 15,000 people at an average on the game. And it's not even like they were playing like the Twins or the Marlins. It was against the Angels. They didn't play 8 games against Angels. It was Angels and Mariners, I believe it was. So you had, I can.
I think it's the Rangers.
The Rangers. That's who it was.
It was the Rangers.
So you got to assume that at least the Angels game you're going to draw because it's an NOS. They're both AOS, but come on, man.
Here's the other thing, and they've only played a couple of away games, but where do you think they? And I pulled up the same thing. I think the same stats you do. Where do you think they sit in road average?
See, I don't know where the road average is. It the home team they're draw? I mean,
Yeah, so it's what they're drawing when they're away. So basically what's the crowd when you're on the road?
It's triple almost 38,000.
Where do you think they rank?
They're in the second to last place.
No, on road average attendance, they're 7th.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
They're 7th. Now, again, I think they've only played a couple of road games. I think they were both in Anaheim. So I think Ohtani was probably a bigger draw than anybody on the A's.
Absolutely.
So that's kind of misleading, but still, I mean, Ohtani started in Oakland. That's where he made his major league debut. You think that would be a draw. And hold on, I gotta sneeze. And sorry about that. It wasn't. And Oakland A's fans, they're passionate. I mean, you get somebody who is an A's fan, they are passionate. They hate the Giants. They hate everybody else.
They hate the Angels. They hate everybody.
Yeah, they hate everybody. They love their A's. And you can't tell them that their team sucks, that they're bad, even when they're losing 90 games a year.
Which do me a favor.
Yeah.
Pull up StubHub. I want to see what the average cost of a ticket is right now for an A's game coming up on their next homestand. Because the problem is, they're not expensive either. It's not like people aren't going because they can't afford to go to these games. A's games are like River Cats tickets.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, opening day is Tuesday. Type in athletics at the top. What are you doing there? Come on.
I don't use StubHub.
I use StubHub. I bought tickets to the Giants-Dodgers game on Friday night. Guess what happened to that game? Fucking rain.
All right, so let's see. So
for a fan base that gives Giants fans shit about being bandwagon fans, they sure don't care enough to show up for their squad. TJ, you hit that right on the head.
So Monday's game against the White Sox, the prices start at $10.
Jesus. Parking passes from 14.
Yeah. So it's more expensive expensive to park than it is to go to the game.
So the White Sox, okay. But the Red Sox come to count on the 20th. And the average starting price on StubHub for our A's game is $24 to see the Red Sox.
And there's 808 tickets listed. Just on StubHub.
A's fans, get your shit together. While we're talking American League, though, can we talk about Ohtani?
Yeah.
Because, holy crap.
Japanese Babe Ruth.
Jesus. So, first game against the A's, didn't do much. Dude, first game jitters, I get that. I'm not even mad at him for that. But I was on the treadmill the other night when he was playing. They weren't playing Oakland. Who were they playing? They were playing. I don't remember, but it was his first home run.
Mm-hmm.
And two guys on, and it was like a hanging curveball. That motherfucker just boop gone, and I was just like, he hit it. I'm like, did I just witness this? And he hit that thing, and just seeing the utter joy. TJ says he spent more money on Chinese food than he for himself than they do to go to A's games. That's very true. The utter joy that his teammates had when he hit that home run was awesome. And then they did the best thing ever. I love when they do this. He comes in the dugout all happy.
Oh, and
they ignored him.
Yeah.
And he stood there for a second. And he grabbed one of the guys off the railing and pulled him down and started jumping up and down with them to celebrate. And it was super cool. And he did a little curtain call. And Duke can hit. Duke can pitch, too. I mean, his debut pitching against the A's looked good. I mean.
So here's the thought that I have, though, that are they going to have to make a decision? They're running a 6-man rotation, which 6 starters takes away a lot out of your bullpen. I mean, that's giving up that one spot. We see what's going on with the Giants when they lose a couple of guys out of the bullpen and what it does to them. this is going to have a huge effect on their pitching and what's going on. If they have to go to a 5-game rotation or 5-pitcher rotation, are they going to have to keep him from hitting that much? I mean, are they going to take a game away from him? Because right now he doesn't hit the 2 days before a game and the day after a game he pitches.
Right.
So he's only hitting 3 days a week.
So what? Let him.
But if you go to a 5-man rotation, which I don't think you can be successful with the 6-man rotation, there just aren't enough solid starting pitchers to have a 6-man rotation. And they're going to have to go to 5 here pretty soon, I would imagine. Is he going to go down to hitting 2 days a week?
I think that's fine. Or that, and you have a pinch hitter. You have a solid pinch hitting option whenever you need it.
That's true.
And rest him, because I mean they spent a lot of money on this dude. But it leads me to think about, like, the Giants were the second team in line for him. If he didn't go to Anaheim, he would have went to the Giants or Los Angeles. Sorry. And I think about it. I'm kind of, in a way, I'm glad that the Giants didn't get Ohtani, because if you look at it strictly in a vacuum of just the fact American League versus National League, it wouldn't work in the National League, because you can't expect to roll him out there, let's say in left field, 2 to 3 days a week, running, diving, doing whatever he might need to do, plus get ready to pitch, plus have all of his rehab stuff.
Well, I mean, what's the difference between that and the American League?
He's DHing. He's not playing in the field. He's
he's not.
He's only
okay.
batting.
I didn't know he wasn't playing left field.
I think if in the National League it would have been even worse. I mean, then you're taking away a position player to let them get consistency. Hunter Pence, for example, that's where he would be playing. Would be left field. Pence is one of those guys that needs the consistency, because he's a roller coaster player. He's either hot or cold. There's not really a lot of middle ground.
Right.
So you take away 2 starts a week from Hunter Pence out in left field, that's a recipe for disaster by itself.
Right.
So in a way, I'm glad that the Giants didn't get him. With all the injuries to our pitching staff right now, I wish we had him. But it's fun to watch. I'm glad he went to an American League team, because we get something we've never got to see before in that. And it's been fun, for sure.
Yeah. You know, and kind of going along with that, we were talking yesterday, a buddy of mine and I, who went to the horse races, by the way, we had a blast. We're talking about just all the pickups that we were so geeked about all off season. You know, Giancarlo Stanton, Ohtani.
Hold on, before we get into that, hey, Yankee fans, next time you decide to boo Stanton, fucking sit on your fucking ass and shut up. He hits 2 or 3 home runs opening day, 2, and then the next day he strikes out 5 times, and they boo the shit out of him. What the fuck did you expect to get?
And
Stanton?
the next day he comes back, launches another jack, and he's back to
he's got again.
Yeah,
you can't expect to have all home runs. You guys are going to lead the baseball in strikeouts just from Judge and Stanton alone.
Yeah.
Expect it. You're going to have 2 home run games. You're going to have 5, 6 strikeout games. It's going to happen. Right. Get off your damn high stripe horse and shut the fuck up.
So we were talking yesterday about all those pickups, and there are a couple other ones that the Giants, we were pissed off when the players decided to go elsewhere. I'm really glad. I'm really glad that we didn't get Stanton. I'm really glad we didn't get Ohtani. I'm really glad there's a couple other JD Martinez we were talking about.
I'm really glad we got Andrew McCutchen. Yeah, we'll get to that here
absolutely.
in a second.
I just think that it would have, especially in the situation they're in right now, it would have really handcuffed them.
Mm-hmm.
And we were also talking about the Bryce Harper sweepstakes next year, and I said, do you think we're going to go after Bryce Harper? And his answer was no. Why would they? I mean, you bring in
mine. Whose phone is ringing? Mine.
I like that. Where'd you get that?
That's from.
I know where it is. No, I know where it is.
I made it.
Did you really?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
I like that.
It's amazing. I love that.
Sal Vulcano.
Right.
We're talking about Bryce Harper. I lost my train of thought.
Right.
I don't think the Giants are going to make a play for him because, one, I don't think he's going to make the money that he wants to make either. And I think the more I think about it,
Well, hold on. Before you say that, it's going to depend on this season. If he hits 60 home runs, he's going to get $500 million.
no, he won't.
Yes, he will.
He won't. No, he won't. And I think you saw it this year. That this year was basically a precursor to what's going to happen next year. Nobody got big money nobody got big money at all this year.
Could it be though that some of these teams were holding on to some of their money for guys like him?
No, I think they were holding on to their money so they can say, look, you're good, but we're not going to go from giving somebody, $175 million to $500 million. We're just not going to do it. We don't care how good you are.
Maybe yeah.
It's gonna hamstring us. You pay somebody that much money, it's going to kill your salary cap. You're going to be in the what do they call it, the penalty phase or the luxury tax phase, and that really it just makes it almost impossible to really do anything to improve your team other than Bryce Harper. And there's not a lot of teams that have the ability to absorb just having Bryce Harper as their only player.
Right.
I just think that what you saw this year was Major League Baseball telling Bryce Harper in a way that you're not getting the money you want. Sorry, bud. You're getting a whole buttload of money. I can see you getting $250 million, but you're not getting $500 million. It's just not going to happen. And so you need to figure out what you're doing because we're not going to pay it. And I don't even think the Yankees are going to pay it.
The Yankees won't, but I can see the Dodgers doing it.
Although, could you imagine?
Oh, Jesus. 3, 4, 5.
3, 4, 5 of Judge, Stanton, and Harper. Oh, my God.
I agree with TJ. He says both of you make great points. While a lot of teams don't spend or didn't spend big money on guys this offseason, others may be padding their war chests for Harper. It's inconclusive to me at this point.
Yeah.
I think that there's going to be a couple of teams that are going to be willing to break the bank. And, it's going to be those teams that are looking at opponents in their division or in their league and going, okay, we got to keep up. So if Houston stays hot the way they are with their team built, or if the Yankees...
And the Red Sox. The Red Sox did a lot this year, too.
If the Yankees run the table and just whoop everybody's ass, I could see the Red Sox going, you know what? We need Harper.
Yeah, but they signed J.D. Martinez.
Doesn't matter. They signed J.D. Martinez to a bargain.
Yeah.
He didn't get the $250 million that he wanted.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole point.
So they'll trade J.D. Martinez. Like I'm saying that they'll free up money if they feel that they need Harper, and they're not afraid to spend it. The other team that I can see that are like, you know what, we need to keep up with the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks or whatever powerhouse team. The Phillies are going to end up being a powerhouse team, I think, really soon.
They're having their own issues, though.
Yeah, but they put up 20 runs yesterday.
Yeah, they also have a manager they want to run out the
but
door.
I can see the Cubs coming in and going, you know what, we need to break the bank. We need to go and get
Can you
Harper.
imagine Harper hitting in Wrigley Field?
He'd hit 1,000 home runs. and the thing is, I can see that happening if other teams in these divisions start running away with it this year, essentially it's going to be if a team in the American or National League becomes the Warriors, where literally they're penciled in to win everything before the season even matters, you're going to see teams go, you know what, we're going to stack up for this. Because Bryce Harper, if you give him a $1 billion contract or a $500 million contract, you're going to have the ability to make that back just in ticket revenue alone, because fans are going to be like, oh, shit. Unless they're A's fans, they're not going to go. But Wrigley will be packed. Fenway, packed.
And all the road games will be packed, too.
So they're going to make their money. So I can see this year kind of being a calming period. It's not now. I don't think he's going to get $500 million, but I can see him, let's say he puts up 55 home runs this season, stays healthy, and he has Stanton numbers from last year. I can see him going to a Cubs, a Dodgers, hell, even a Giants team. There's a couple others out there that have the money that aren't afraid to spend it. Like I said, Boston. Hell, you may even see Jeter finally decide, you know what, we're going to spend some money and try to bring Harper in and replace
They're
Stanton.
probably the one team that has the budget to be able to do it.
So, but you're going to see them go to him. He's say, I want $500 million. They're going to go, yeah, but look, this is the first time you've done this. Stanton was borderline on those numbers for a couple of years. He has better home run by average. He got this amount of money, or whoever it is going to be. they're going to say slowly roll. We're going to give you like 350 or 400 million. He's not going to get to the 500, but they're going to use. I think a lot of teams use this year as a barometer to go, you know what? We're going to give you a little bit less than that 500 that people are throwing out there, but you're still going to be the best player in baseball because of your age, your durability, your ability to sell tickets. And I think this was a cooling off year. They've spent so much money the last 3 or 4 years on these big contracts that this was the cool down period. This is them going, okay, you know what? We're going to save a little bit of money. But next year, owners, guess what? We're going. And I think the owners are just like TJ said, they're building up their war chest. They're gonna spend money next year.
I just don't see it. I think they got away with it this year. They got away with not paying anybody. I think they're going to continue to do that. Those guys, they don't want to spend money. There's not one owner in Major League Baseball or any sports that wants to give up that kind of money. They don't want to get into the luxury tax. That's why that's such a penalty, is because for every dollar you spend, you got to pay $1.
Right.
So
baseball's numbers are actually supposed to go up next year as well. So
yeah, but still. And then there's also a lot of those teams that aren't afraid to spend money are also big in the international market. And
right.
One of the things that happens when you get into the luxury tax is it affects your ability to sign and pay international players.
Right. But
so
if you can bring Harper in, do you give a fuck about the next international player for the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, but here's the thing that you're missing in baseball. Baseball's not like basketball.
Oh, I know.
Basketball, you sign one player, you can really change the whole trajectory of your franchise.
I think
you sign one baseball player. You know, he's a hit batsman. He's a hit forearm. He's getting plunked on the hand away from that going away.
But I think in baseball, while that I agree with you 100% on that, I think that rule applies to 98.7% of the players in baseball. I think there's maybe 5 names that you break that rule for.
But there was
Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Bryce Harper, Clayton Kershaw, and I'm sure there's another 1 or 2 out there that you might be able to break that rule for. Otherwise, I agree with you 100%. But if you have the ability, so it's not going to be a team that's sitting on the bottom and going, okay, we want to, like the Marlins. They're not going to do it. Because they're at the bottom of the barrel with nobodies. They're not going to be like, hey, Bryce Harper, you're going to be our future.
He's not going to go there anyway.
Because that ruins their plan. But let's say Arizona, San Francisco, the Cubs, the Phillies, teams that are right on the brink of being that championship quality team again. You bring in Harper, you spend $400 million. Guess what? You win a championship. You make that money back. I mean, it's not going to be one of those things where it's damning to their team. They're going to make that money back without a problem. Adam says, not baseball related, but I thought this was hilarious last night when Khabib said he wants George St. Pierre after his fight last night. St. Pierre would kill him. If you saw the fight, what do you guys think about that? I don't know who Khabib is, but I would love to see GSP in a ring again or an octagon again, whooping anybody's ass. So sign me up for that.
Okay. Can I go? There's one more point I want to make.
Yeah.
Okay, and while I agree with you, take it back to Barry Bonds.
Okay.
At any point, has there ever been a more dominant player?
No.
Okay. How did the Giants do when Bonds was playing? How many World Series did they get to?
Yeah.
1.
No, I agree. Yeah,
One.
I agree with that.
So that's why I go back to one player doesn't make a Major League Baseball season.
But that's why I
Doesn't
said
make
a team that's on the brink, not a team that's rebuilding. The Giants never.
No, I'm not saying that. But even if the Giants were a decent team, and you had Barry Bonds, and they didn't do anything. In order for you to be a competitive baseball team in the postseason, you need to have a deep pitching staff. That's not true. One player. That's, we saw that with the Dodgers last year. They got a long ways, but when it came to the World Series, it was Kershaw and 3 schlubs.
Yeah.
So that's why I think not only are the owners, but I think the general managers are seeing that breaking the bank for one player, and you'll make the money back in ticket revenue, but I think most of these guys want to win. And you look at teams like the Astros. They don't have one superstar. They have a whole bunch of really good players.
I think they have a superstar.
Well, but they don't. But he's not He's not a Bryce Harper, Barry Bonds type
but
superstar.
I also think that's why we're going to see. We have a potential next year of seeing Bryce Harper break that essential rule.
I don't
because
think so.
there hasn't been a player like Harper in a long.
I don't think so. He's not that dominant.
We'll see.
Yeah, so
we'll see.
Yeah.
Let's see here. TJ says he thinks he could see Harper going to Arizona because it's close to his hometown of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's do this real quick here.
Oh, I was thinking about this too.
That was loud. I'm sorry. Here we go.
High drive! Left field! It is out of here!
Dude, that gives me chills just listening to it.
Sends everybody home.
I love the emotion that McCutchen shows.
They brought out the 5-gallon water buckets to dump on him. That's awesome.
That led SportsCenter today.
It should have.
It
That
did.
was
It
amazing.
did. And
So-
it led with Kuiper's call.
Nice. So McCutchen goes 6 for 7 last night with the home run, a double, a couple singles, a couple RBIs, a run, and guess who had him on his fantasy bench?
Oh,
This
yeah.
guy, because
Way
I
to
always
go.
bench the good guys. Nobody has had 7 at bats for the Giants in a long time. Since Brandon Crawford did it last season,
He went 7 for 7.
7 for 7. McCutchen went 6 for 7 last night with that home run. Bold prediction. The Giants are going to work out an extension with McCutchen and lock him up for a number of years before the season
I think
ends.
so, too.
He is not going to leave San Francisco.
No.
He loves it there. The fans already love him. The locker room loves him. Yeah, he's gonna be around.
Do you think Longoria? I think they do the same thing. It's too early to say.
Longoria's locked up through 2021.
That's right. That's right. I
So
forgot about that.
Longoria's fine.
So I think
I love McCutchen being here.
Yeah,
I think we talked about McCutchen trying to trade for him like 2 years ago.
we did. I've talked about him a lot. I think the Giants are in a good position. You know, again, we had a lot of time in between races and driving down to Golden Gate Fields yesterday, so we talked a lot of baseball, and we talked about the River Cats and what they have going on, and what the Giants have, and what's going on up there. The infield is still, I mean, they're young. Yeah, they're all in their 30s, but nowadays, I mean, you got another 5 or 6 good years of, I mean, Panic's 28, Crawford's 31, Buster's 31,
Right.
Longoria's 31. I mean, so, you know, I wouldn't say they're old. I'd say they're kind of at the upper end of the middle of their career.
Let me take you off of that real quick. Trevor Brown at Media Day for the River Cats talked about the River Cats and the direction that team is headed, and I think this ties directly into what you're talking about right now.
Oh, this is always fun when we get to do the inter squads with the other teams because we know a lot of these guys, so it's fun. It's a very relaxed environment, and it's kind of just a way for us and their team to have kind of a low stress game. So we're going to get our work in, but it's going to be fun.
They had the music really loud in the clubhouse.
How does a game like this, you said it's low stress, it's important. How does it prepare you aside from
I mean, we've been working for 2 months now, so pretty much everyone here is where we need to be, getting ready for the season. And now it's just, we're going to have a little plan, go out and play this game and have a good time. Try to be.
Should have edited this verse. Hold on.
It's going to build themselves out. Like I said, getting to play the other guys that we know too. It's just going to be a fun time. It's almost it's more enjoyable rather than.
This was right before they played the San Jose Giants in a scrimmage.
A week ago, some question marks on what this room's going to look like. But you kind of have a better idea of that. We were going to be sitting across when I was at playing to move forward better.
Yeah, definitely. I think the last week of spring we had kind of our lineups set fully, and in all my minor league years, I'm most excited about this team. I really do feel like this is the best team I've ever been on in the minor leagues. So compared to last year and this year, I'm really excited just with the guys we have in the locker room, the coaching staff, and just a lot of moves. Even the front office, kind of their concepts they're installing this year with PP and a lot of other things. It's going to be a fun season.
Touch on that. How much does last year? I mean, obviously last year you don't want to dwell on too much, but all the injuries and things like that, freeing guys up that maybe not, might not have. Did that experience? Is that kind of what's helping with the locker room this year, plus all the veteran guys that are back down?
Yeah,
now?
Definitely. I mean, this team has. I think there's only 3 guys, position player wise, that have not played the big leagues. So experience wise, we're definitely up there. A lot of our young prospects, even too, have had some time in AAA now. So really, this team, especially our lineup this year, I feel like it really has a lot of experience and good team vibe really too. Everyone.
So 3 of the River Cats position players, only 3 of the roster have never played in the big league level. So those guys are going to be groomed well. It fits what you were saying. The roster is deep. The Giants roster is deep, and then that trickles straight down in AAA where there's guys that are ready. There's not a lot of wet behind the ear guys. A lot of them have had. Mac Williamson kept saying it. Show experience. They've been to the show. They know what they're doing now. And I think that's going to be key because, like you said, McCutcheon 31, Longoria 31, Pence is up there in age. The infield's fine. It's the outfield that you have to be a little bit concerned about.
And this is going to be Pence's last year. He's not going to. They're not going to resign him. So that opens up the spot in left field to maybe Mac Williamson.
I can see. I can see them moving Austin Jackson to left and letting Duggar come up and play center.
So, and that was the other thing I was going to say. My buddy's he actually is a Gorky's Hernandez fan.
So he's the one.
You're right. But he made a good point. The second half of the year, Gorky's had one of the highest batting averages on the team. And he's a defensive player. And my point to that is Gorky's is a great fourth outfielder.
Yeah.
If you have to count on him for a whole year to be your starting center fielder, it's not good. And luckily they don't have to do that this year. So what I think is going to happen is they're not going to sign Pence. I think they can bring Williamson up or they can bring Duggar up, move Jackson one way or the other. Or if Duggar and Williamson have a great year, then your 5 outfielders become Jackson, Duggar, and Williamson. I think you add those 3. I think you have a good quality outfield.
For sure.
And so I think the Giants are in a good position right now. Thing that scares me is starting pitching. I was listening to Kevin Franzen on the way home from playing poker last night.
I like hearing Franzen on there. He does good.
He does. He's really psyched about the bullpen, and I'm not sure that I'm quite that happy with what they're doing. They're all right, but I don't see. I think if Melanson comes back, and that's a huge if. I think having him come back and rearrange the bullpen, and I keep forgetting the guy's name.
Will Smith.
Yeah, Will Smith. When he comes back, then I can. That's gonna that to me is gonna solidify the the bullpen. Starting pitching has been pretty good. I think the Giants are. I can see 87 to 90 wins this year.
Me too. And I'm not too worried about the bullpen. I think Watson's going to be the Javier Lopez guy that we need.
Right.
Strickland looks really good. Even if he has to be in the closing role, I'm okay with him being there.
He's fine. He's doing well.
Him working with John Smoltz over the offseason was huge.
And
developing that slider was big.
And I think the other thing that helped him was the thing with Harper. When we talked to him at the River Cats a couple years ago, and I was going back thinking about it, there was some cockiness there.
Yeah.
He knew that his shit didn't stink and he was badass.
Yeah.
And he really didn't feel like he belonged there.
Speaking of that real quick, because it's on my mind, how cool, how right did it feel to see Brian Wilson in a Giants?
I haven't seen it yet.
You haven't watched that yet?
I have to go back and watch it.
It was good. I think the Giants dugout's going to be fine. They still have Derek Law, who needs to come back up and get healthy. Cody Guerin's still down in AAA working out some things. You mentioned Will Smith, Melanson. They're saying could be back in a matter of a week or two.
I don't think he's going to come back that soon. I think he's more injured than they're letting on.
Samardzija's only about a week out.
Right.
Bumgarner, obviously, he's out for a little while. Cueto's day to day right now, but
Cueto hurt?
He hurt his ankle.
That ankle thing. Yeah.
So I'm not too worried about it. I think Watson's going to be huge. Like I said, Strickland's going to be good. Osich needs to figure his shit out a little bit better. But the Giants starting staff, I think Holland is going to be okay as a 5. or not Holland. I'm sorry. Who pitched yesterday? Stratton is going to be good as a 5 once. Once Bum and Samardzija come back, I think Holland goes to AAA or he gets released because he was on a spring training invite. And then this weekend either Beatty or Suarez is.
I think they like Holland a lot. I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't.
Maybe a long reliever.
I think and they could send him back here to Sacramento.
But then they're talking about either Beatty or Suarez, depending on how the season, the schedule rolls around. Maybe up Sunday or maybe up today. I think it was to pitch.
Because the 5th starter's due tomorrow. No, the 10th.
Yeah. So
10th, and they got the rain out, so that maybe pushes that back another week or two too.
That damn rain out, man. So George Ramos has been on our show a few times. He's talked Niners with us and stuff like that. He was actually, that game, he paid for the video board to propose to his girlfriend and all of that, and it got postponed, so we were all going to be down for that. But he ended up doing it anyways. They went to AT&T Park to take pictures outside the gates like they always do, and he proposed, and she said yes, and everything's good.
You know what? And I like that better. I'm kind of over the whole message board, will you marry me?
So
thing.
you want to know something crazy, though?
What?
So I tried getting a hold of them for him because he was in the car with her driving to San Francisco that day to be like, hey, if the game's delayed, what happens? They're like, oh, call us today for this package and do the kiss cam proposal. I was like, dude, why didn't you do the kiss cam proposal? $900 for them to set up the kiss cam on you at a specific time so that you can propose during a game. $900.
So is that what he paid?
No. He only did it on the video board. It was just like one of the scrolling messages on the board.
Oh.
I think it was maybe $200. But
so we did that for my dad on his 75th birthday. So it was 20 years ago. At Oakland, because he was I don't know why. I don't know how I ended up with a dad who was an A's fan. So we did happy 75th birthday. They showed it 3 times during the game.
Because no one else had video messages up
and
there.
It was $75.
Nice.
So it was cool.
That's cool. Let's see. Giants, though, not looking too bad. They're putting up some runs. I'm okay with that. We talked about the pitching staff. Everything's looking okay.
A little worried the first week.
Yeah.
When you score 2 runs, both by the same guy.
And panicked, you only run score.
And and then you get shut out the next 2 games. So in the first 4 games, you score 2 runs on two home runs. And then the third run you score is a panic home run.
So, yeah, exactly. But hey, they're coming around now. I mentioned the $900. TJ says, I have not spent that much on Chinese food for myself, but I would like to. And my boss just joined in on the live feed. What's up, Rick? Rick's a Cubs fan, so we were just talking about Rick. We were just talking about the idea that the Cubs may make a run at Bryce Harper next season, just because if they're on the brink, they could be a team that really throws some money out there at the kid to try to get him to come to Chicago and be a spark plug for that team. Yeah. So that'll be I'm looking forward to the Bryce Harper sweepstakes. I mean, I think the Giants may be in on it, but I think they'd be a long shot. Unless, as long as Hunter Strickland's on the team, I don't think it's going to happen anyways. But we talked about this.
Well, no, so I started to get to that point, and that is, Strickland has changed a lot. I think he's a lot calmer. I think he's a lot more relaxed. I think he's a lot more focused. And I think all the shit that he got after hitting Bryce Harper last year from Giants fans, from national media, from everybody, I think it brought him down a notch, and I think it was really good for him. And then I don't know if he works with John Smoltz. Was it Smoltz he worked with? Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the offseason, if he doesn't go through that, because I think there was talk that the Giants were just going to release him, that he wasn't going to be part of the Giants anymore. And I think that whole situation made him realize that, he's got to do some work. And so I really applaud Strickland for what he's done and what he's turned on. And I can imagine, if the Giants signed Harper next year, God, my brain is off today. If they signed Harper next year, I would imagine Strickland would be probably one of the first people at the door welcoming him.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that humbled Strickland was he became a dad. Yeah. I think that helped a little bit.
And plus, he had a shitty year last year, too. So.
That might have helped a little bit, too. Let's see. Anything else baseball related we wanted to touch on? We talked about Yankee fans being stupid and booing. Oh, let's talk about Yankees again real quick. I watched the video the other day. Aaron Judge, did you see the throw he made from right field to cut down? Who did he cut down? It was a catcher, Russell Martin. Dude, it was like a one-hop line drive to left. He got it, took one step, and threw a seed to home plate. No bounce, nothing. It was just on a line. It looked like a wiffle ball being thrown down a line for batting practice. Right in the catcher's glove, the catcher just goes boop and puts the tag down, out. And,
wow.
And now I get it. It was a catcher that was running, but
still
unbelievable throw. And I
Puig had a throw like that the other day too.
Yeah, but it's Puig. We don't care about Puig.
Yeah,
we like Aaron Judge. And I was like, court adjourned. The judge has spoken.
This is stupid. I want to talk about vaginas.
Not vaginas, but let's talk football. NFL draft is coming. There's a lot of speculation around the Patriots wanting to move up for a quarterback. They're really high on Mayfield. There's a lot of talk about Gronk being available for trade. There's talk about...
I don't think that's going to happen.
There's talk about Odell Beckham being available for trade.
I think that could happen.
The Patriots just traded Brandon Cooks to the Rams, which pretty much takes them out of the Beckham Jr. sweepstakes. Adam Schefter just tweeted out that Beckham said he will be in Giants facility tomorrow for the start of the season, the offseason program. So that'll be interesting to see. I think if he gets traded, it'll be a draft day deal. But the Patriots have 2 first rounds and 2 second round picks this year, and I can see them being in play to move up. Now, there was a lot of speculation, I should say, that John Lynch and Bill Belichick's growing relationship could have some sort of impact on that, where if the Patriots want to give the Niners one of their second round picks, one of their first round picks, and Gronkowski for the number 9 pick so they can move up and take Mayfield, that there could be an opportunity for the Niners to make that move. Now, is a healthy Gronkowski better than anyone that you can take for the team right now at 9?
Oh, yeah. But the key word in there is healthy. The dude hasn't been healthy in how many years?
Right.
You know, when was the last time he played a whole season?
But from what I understand, though, him and Garoppolo are really good friends. They work really well in practice. That could be interesting to see if they move up all the way to 9. Now, there's also talks about Odell Beckham Jr. and if the Niners want to make a deal with the Giants to get another top 10 pick. Beckham could be in play for the Niners. I'm not really sure how I feel about that, just because, again, Beckham doesn't stay healthy. But what I want to talk about, I don't like speculating on trades just because it's such a weird. I mean, I think Lynch could fleece the Raiders to think that they're going to take the guy that they want and move back one spot. Now, the interesting thing is Colin Cowherd has been doing mock draft after mock draft after mock draft. It's like all he's been doing on his damn show. And I'm not really a big fan of Cowherd, but one of his latest mocks really, really surprised me a little bit. And he talks about the 2005 draft where teams from essentially 12 to 22 didn't need quarterbacks, and it caused Aaron Rodgers to fall to 25 or 24, whatever he was drafted at. He thinks that a very marquee player in this year's draft is going to be this year's Aaron Rodgers. Did you see this by chance?
I didn't.
Okay, so
I didn't.
He thinks that Saquon Barkley is going to be this year's Aaron Rodgers and fall to the 49ers at 9.
No.
So in a way, I could see. I've seen mocks that show Barkley falling as far as 12. So let's say he falls to 9, right? And
we're talking about Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley. Let's say Saquon Barkley falls to 9, and you're John Lynch. Do you take him, or do you mass text every other GM in the league and go, "Hey, 9's available. What you got?"
No, I think you take him. I think you don't even wait 30 seconds and you write his name down and get it up there.
You have the card. You're like,
yep.
You already have his card just set to the side.
He's too much. And that's why I don't think he's going to even last tonight. I think.
Let me see if I can find a written.
I can see. God, now that's making me think. I kind of like that idea, but I don't know that he gets past 2 with the Giants. What's the order?
I'm trying to see if I can find the actual mock here.
Okay. So he's a generational player, and yeah, you can get a lot of good running backs, but you can't get somebody like Saquon Barkley that's going to be if he stays healthy, a 10-year running back that's going to be productive.
So here's what he has. Here's how he has this mock. He has Cleveland Browns taking Sam Darnold.
Okay.
He has Buffalo trading into the number 2 spot to take Josh Allen.
Okay.
That leaves the Jets taking Josh Rosen.
Okay.
He has Cleveland taking Bradley Chubb with the idea that you now have Chubb and Myles Garrett on opposite ends rushing the quarterback on defense.
I could see that happening.
Which is a very, very sexy idea.
I can see that happening.
Denver taking Denzel Ward. Arizona trading up to 6 with the Colts to take Baker Mayfield because the Colts have a lot more needs than a running back right now that they need to worry about, because if they want Andrew Luck to be healthy, they need to fix everything.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley is a running back, Adam, not a quarterback. The Buccaneers taking Micah Fitzpatrick because they have a quarterback. They don't need one. They have Jameis Winston, and they don't need a running back either. But their defense struggled, so you take Fitzpatrick. The Bears, who have been stocking up on defense and they have Mitchell Trubisky, who last year played a lot of football on his ass because they couldn't protect him, taking Quentin Nelson.
I can see that.
Which leaves Barkley available at 9.
Wow.
It makes a lot of sense when you actually see the names listed out where it's like, fuck. Because if Buffalo trades up to 2, which is where the Giants are at, for the Giants likely to get 22 and 23 together for that move, they would get both picks in the first round. That's quarterback.
And that leaves, with 22 and 20, that leaves the kid out of Louisville.
Wakefield, right? Or Mayfield.
No,
Baker Mayfield's there at 7.
No,
so,
the kid, the guy who won the Heisman last year.
Right, I know here. TJ, name. But let's say this. Let's say Arizona does trade up to 6, right, for Baker Mayfield. Lamar Jackson. Yeah. Do you think that Chicago and Tampa Bay or 7 and 8, Tampa Bay and Chicago, phone starts ringing with Belichick on the other end going, hey, we made this deal with Brandon Cooks because we need a quarterback. We're looking to move up to 7 or 8. What's it going to take? And then they move up, and let's say Lamar Jackson goes 6 or 7, or let's say Arizona isn't the trade that moves into 6 because I hear that Belichick is so high on Baker Mayfield it's sickening. You move New England into 6 for Baker Mayfield, that pisses Arizona off. They're like, shit, we need a quarterback. Now they move up to 7 or 8. Let's say they move up to 7 for Tampa Bay. Okay, well, they take Lamar Jackson. Chicago, with their line as bad as it is, Chicago's not going to take a running back. He won't be able to get through the hole. They need that line. Quentin Nelson to Chicago makes more sense than anything. That leaves Saquon Barkley. That it makes sense that he could fall to 9. And it's a scary thing to think that you'd have Saquon Barkley and Jaren McKinnon as your running back tandem in a Kyle Shanahan system. It kind of gives me football wood a little bit thinking about it. Like, that would be ultimately a very scary thing to have happen. And I could see it happening. It's crazy. But wow. Colin Cowherd may be onto something here, man.
Boy, that It makes a lot of sense. I can see it. I mean, I think right now the common thought is Barkley's going to go either first or fourth to Cleveland.
Let me read Cowherd's thing. I mentioned that he talks about it being Aaron Rodgers, but let me read it because the way he explained it was way better than me.
Okay.
He said, now this is where it gets interesting, talking about the number 9 pick. This is where I don't know what San Francisco is going to do. I think they are in a potential trade down spot. Here's what we know about San Francisco. They went heavy on defense in the first 3 picks last year. I know this. I trust my sources. They would like to give quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo more support on the offensive line, some perimeter play. They want to give him some help. And Saquon Barkley, I believe, is going to be the one player that is going to fall in this draft. Because the way this works, man, is sometimes Aaron Rodgers dropped because there were about 12 teams that year that didn't need a quarterback, and they were all drafting from 12 to about 22. I think Barkley is the kid who falls in this draft. In an incredibly rich running back draft, I think San Francisco, if they don't trade down, gives Garoppolo a home run hitter. Don't kid yourself. Kyle Shanahan, who is very clever, lots of looks, lots of motion, lots of sets, gets a chess piece.
Wow.
I don't typically agree with Colin Cowherd much, but when you hear him say it like that, it makes a lot of sense.
Damn, I'm getting amped up for the draft
right?
now. When is it? Draft's 2 weeks, right?
It's coming close. I know.
Yeah.
That.
Wow. That would be cool. Wow.
That would be very, very interesting. Now, I have another question for you because this came up on a Twitter question, and the answer was kind of surprising to me. And I want to get your take on it, and then I'll give you the answer.
April 26th, is that the first round?
Yeah. Would you trade... Now, I'm just going to pose to you the question as it was posed on Twitter, and then I'll let you answer it, and then I'll give you the answer that was given, which really made me scratch my head and go, okay. Would you trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Houston Texans for Deshaun Watson and Jadeveon Clowney?
The only thing that scares me is the health of the two players coming back.
Let me ask you this: if you take, so the health is always a concern. I mean, there could be health concern for Garoppolo.
Yeah, but those two guys both have had injuries in the last couple of years that are serious.
Garoppolo hasn't played a full season. We don't know if he's made a glass yet either. But if you take contracts out of it and you put them in a vacuum, this is the second time now I've said in a vacuum. If you put the players just in a vacuum, straight on trade principles alone of football player, do you make the deal?
Damn, I don't know.
Let me present this a little bit differently. Eric Armstead, I'm drawing it. Solomon Thomas, DeForest Buckner, Jadeveon Clowney on your line. God. With Reuben Foster as one of your.
Wow, if Reuben Foster's around,
he'll be around. He's only going to miss 6 games. But I don't think that if you take contracts out of it, I would say no to moving Garoppolo for Deshaun Watson and Jadeveon Clowney. That would be something. I saw that, and at first I was like, fuck no, that's hella stupid. And then I saw the response with the whole, take the contract out of it. That would be interesting for sure, because I think he would give a new dynamic to Kyle Shanahan's system, because it would be a quarterback that can throw and move. But
look what happened the last time Shanahan had a quarterback that could throw and move.
Right, it's not going to happen. I wouldn't want to move Garoppolo.
Who, by the way, did you see RG3 got signed last week?
Yeah. To where'd he go?
Baltimore.
Baltimore, that's right.
Yeah.
Which must mean that they have no fucking faith in.
Oh, hello. Who's that?
Just one of the ambassadors for Total Nutrition. They have no faith in Flacco staying healthy, is what that means.
No, not at all.
But yeah, so.
Which really tells you what people think about Kaepernick, too.
What's really weird is that Eric Reid still hasn't signed. And I really thought that the owners. Last year getting all the backlash against them for not signing Kaepernick because of his protests and whatnot like that would have kind of learned their lesson. And now Eric Reid, who's been healthy, who had a great year last year, There's no reason why he shouldn't be on a team.
Well,
he hasn't even gotten a phone call.
I think what's going to happen is I think at this point
the
now,
Niners are going to re-sign him.
Well, at this point now, nobody's going to sign anybody because the draft's so close. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see the draft. There's going to be teams that need secondary help, and they're not going to get it in the draft. The players just aren't going to fall in the right spots. So I can see him being signed a day or two after the draft to somebody who had targeted a make or break safety, a make or break cornerback that just didn't work out in the draft, and him signing there. So I think what you're going to see for him is right after the draft is when he'll go.
Yeah, I just find it odd that he hasn't even been given a phone call. He hasn't even talked to any teams. No one has called him at all. And he already came out and promised that if he's signed, he won't even kneel anymore. He'll be a stand-up guy, no pun intended. And it's not happening. So that's interesting. Let's see some other housekeeping things here. Let's do this because we haven't done this yet.
For all of your real estate needs in Sacramento area, Northern California, and across the country, give me a call, 916-223-6688. It's Greg Veroza from Keller Williams Realty. If you're out of the area, I know people all over the country that can help you out. So give me a call, 916-223-6688. Or you can go to my website, gregveroza.com.
All right, we're going to do one more. We've been talking about Tony Pacheco at Folsom Lake Ford for a number of weeks. Tony did it again. He helped my wife and I get out of a bad loan in a Altima that was ultimately falling apart and got us into a brand new 2018 Kia Optima.
Which, by the way, I still haven't seen. I still think it's fake.
Okay, you'll see it here in a little bit when the wife gets home. But he got us into a brand new Kia Optima hybrid. He got us out of our bad payments. He got us into a lease that's going to give us a lot of financial freedom, peace of mind, security, and he did it all with a smile on his face and got us into really great terms that we weren't looking for. We weren't even thinking lease. We were thinking purchase. Our payments were looking to go up like $200 a month, more than what we were already paying in order to get out of the Altima. He got us into the lease, found us more rebates, found us more money, and ultimately saved us a ton of money. So make sure that if you're looking for a new car, a used car, a loan, or a lease, or a purchase, whether it be a Ford, Kia, or otherwise, give Tony a call. Area code 530-218-7069. He's at Folsom Lake Ford. Tell him that Sports Talk 916 sent you, and he'll help you out as much as he helped us out as well. Also, we are in the works to now communicate, hopefully, with Fort Rock, the brewery, to do a live show. Or if anyone else has any other locations, any mom and pop restaurants, bars, whatever it is that you frequent that is sports related, and you think it'd be cool for us to do a live show there. It could be a coffee shop, it can be whatever you want. Let us know. We're looking for places to do a remote. I think it'd be cool to get out and do a live show, sit with some of you guys, do our show from a location, and help out a local business as well. So if you have any options or ideas, let us know, and we'll try to get that ball rolling. But as of right now, hopefully Fort Rock Brewery on Hazel Avenue will be the location for our first remote show, and we'll start getting the ground moving on that as quickly as possible. Anything else you want to talk about, Mr. Veroza?
Bad news. We got turned down for our press passes, our season credential for the Giants.
We did.
That's what I called you for the other day.
Oh, you got the email?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we unfortunately did not get our full season, but we can get our game-to-game credentials. Let's see the other thing I was just going to mention. Oh, wait a minute. I didn't even talk about it. This is where Greg turns his headphones down. It is WrestleMania Day. You asked a question earlier. You said we were talking about Undertaker, and you said something about him.
Oh, was his
real name? But
his brother?
Oh, his brother Kane. Yeah. So my prediction that we talked about earlier. So Undertaker and John Cena are supposed to have a match today. Cena's been calling Undertaker out for 4 weeks. He hasn't accepted the match. He hasn't done anything with it. Kid Rock went into the Hall of Fame. We talked about this a few weeks ago. I think that we get the American Badass version of The Undertaker. He comes out on a Harley. Or the other rumor is that Undertaker shows up as Mark Calloway, out of character, just to beat the shit out of John Cena. Because in one of Cena's rants that he went on, one of his segments, he went out of character in a way that he mentioned Michelle McCool, which is a former WWE diva who is Undertaker's wife, and mentioned that she's been posting pictures of him working out on her Instagram page, and he basically called him a cowardly bitch for not accepting the match. But a lot of people think that because he went off script and mentioned his personal page, that they're going to bring...
You do know that is all scripted.
It's all part of it, but
it's all
the
scripted.
rumor is, though, that it's going to allow Taker to... come out of character and be in a street fight. Adam says that beef is fake. Khabib and McGregor is real. Let's talk about that. Is Khabib the one that you can hear in the video... While McGregor's throwing shit saying, I'm going to kill him, he's going to be dead, I'm going to kill him 100%. Adam, is that the guy? Because, at this point, it would be fun to see because that's a real feud. I just don't know that UFC is going to roll McGregor back out there after this.
I think they will because I think it's all they got.
It won't be in New York, I'll tell you that much, because I guarantee you that New York after this is going to pull that fighting license.
Right. And I think the other thing is it's going to be interesting to see, and I can't say that word, what goes on with the charges. Are the charges going to mysteriously get dropped? Is the law enforcement part of that going to continue? McGregor's got some stuff to deal with. Those guys that didn't get to fight yesterday, they're going to be looking for their money, and it's going to come out of that $100 million that McGregor won or that earned fighting Mayweather.
Adam says they can't fire him and he's the moneymaker.
I don't know.
I don't know that they can't fire him as much as they don't want to risk firing him because there's no one else to make money for him.
I think just getting back to what we talked about, this is the more I think about it and what you talked about earlier, this is just way too cartoonish. Mm-hmm. This is way too WWE. I think you're right. I think this is the end of the UFC. I think there's going to be somebody else is going to come over, whether it's, Bellator or whatever, is going to take over as the number one promoter of MMA. I just think that this is too cartoon. They've gone way too over the top. I think the whole pinning everything on McGregor Mayweather hurt them. I think the sale that you talked about earlier hurt them. I think it opens up the door for another company to come in and develop some big names and start taking over that promotion. What ultimately could happen, and unfortunately, I hate to say this, it could turn into boxing.
Oh.
It could turn into boxing where you have 5 or 6 different promotions all claiming that they have the world champion and having different rules and competing cards and even fighters going from one place to the other. I just think that it goes back to the same thing with boxing. There's no regulation. There's nobody that's in charge. There's not a commission. There's not a commissioner. There's not, you have with the major sports, you have the league, you have the commissioner. They're a strong commissioner. They have, even with tennis and golf, they have a stranglehold on everything. There's nobody going to start. When was the last time you ever heard of anybody wanting to start a new PGA tour?
Right. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. So I just think that this could be the beginning of the end of MMA.
You know what? So Adam says Khabib versus McGregor will be the only one that can save the sinking ship that they're in, and I agree with that. If that's the bad blood fight, We mentioned it. Lesnar's not going to help it. Unfortunately, GSP's not going to help it with him returning. It is going to have to be a McGregor match. And what worries me is in talking to a few friends of mine that are working with the California State, Commission and does all the, the lower level MMA fights and things like that. My friend has connections with Vegas Commission and the different things like that. And from what he's told me is that and Adams mentioned it right here. Also, with Mayweather underway training MMA and talking about coming over to the UFC for a fight, they would have to bring back McGregor for that. There's no way Mayweather comes over to the UFC and doesn't fight McGregor. What my friend told me is that there's already contingency plans in place, rule modifications on a one-fight basis that is going to allow Mayweather and McGregor to get in the octagon. And apparently Mayweather's already is in line to start his MMA drug testing. He may be looking into getting his license to fight MMA in Vegas. There's a lot of things that are already in the works. And I think, honestly, if they don't have McGregor versus a legitimate MMA opponent prior to this shit show that's going to be Mayweather-McGregor, UFC is going to die. Because that's going to be a cash draw for the fighters. And ultimately, I think that what a lot of people aren't realizing is that all the bad blood, all the animosity, all the shit talking that Mayweather and McGregor had leading up to the boxing match was all a show. That was all a job. Those two dudes are probably best friends. They're sitting behind closed doors talking about ways to earn the most money possible. And them going to an MMA octagon is literally just going to be another $100 million grab for both guys. And the only difference is McGregor's going to make more than Mayweather this time because it's in his ring, but they're still going to both make a shitload of money. They're going to have fun together, and then they're going to go blow the money together afterwards. So anyone that thinks that this is a real bad beef and it's going to be the one that saves MMA, I think you're totally off your rocker on that.
And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier is I think MMA, if this was WWE with this fight coming up or, with Mayweather challenging McGregor, I think it would be a sellout and people would love it just for the theatrics of it. The problem is this is the MMA and this is real fighting and it's not scripted. So we talked about it earlier that MMA fans want more for their money than WWE fans do. And I think the other thing is I think MMA is so much more technical than boxing is. I mean, there's so many other aspects. Not only are you throwing the boxing part into it, but you also have the wrestling part of it. And wrestling is a sport, and I did it for 2 weeks in high school, that you can't just pick it up. You can't pick up the being on the mat part of it.
Right.
You can't pick that up in 6 months and be at the level that somebody like McGregor is. So I think, and then the other aspect that I just thought about is the money. And I think that all the good things that McGregor Mayweather did, I think the amount of money that those guys made turned a lot of people off. And I think if you do the same thing, it's going to turn a lot of people off from when they fight in MMA. Because, when you're saying that these guys are making $300 million total for one night, and people are getting charged $200 to watch it, that's going to turn a lot of people off.
Not only that, they made $150 million apiece essentially over a 12-round boxing match. This is going to be a 3-round MMA fight. It's not going to be. It's not going to be that same. It's going to be more of a money draw because just by the length of it.
Right.
So I think UFC's in big trouble unless they find someone crazy to come in and really revitalize it. It's not going to be.
No.
But we'll see. I mean, it might be fun to watch that thing just plummet to the earth. We'll never know. But I think that's what we've got for this week's show.
Wow, that was a good one.
It was.
I hate it when we plan everything out and the
it
show
goes like
sucks.
8 minutes.
Yeah, and then we don't plan anything out, and I don't know how long have we been on.
An hour and 34 minutes.
Have we really?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
So with that being said, I'm off to the gym. It's heavy lift day. I'm super stoked.
I'm off to the couch because it's Master Sunday.
It's WrestleMania. It's Rusev Day.
Whatever.
So let me put this into perspective for you. Normal pay-per-view is like 4 hours long, right?
Right.
WrestleMania, the pre-show, starts at 2. WrestleMania is not going to be over until about 8:30 or 9 o'clock tonight. It's going to be like 6.5 hours of fucking WrestleMania.
So it's like bullshit Super Bowl Sunday stuff.
Yeah, except way better than Super Bowl Sunday because the Eagles aren't going to win the championship.
No, it's way worse because it's all fake.
I'm going to carry my belts around and take them to the gym with me.
You do that.
That'll be my lifting belt.
You do that. God. Really?
I love WWE Day.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And I don't know who Marlena Beck O'Brien is, but thank you for joining. We're about to... I know who that is, just kidding. But we're signing off. So, for Greg Veroza, I'm Greg Bowl. It has been episode 241. Check out Albert Chavez. Check out Tony Pacheco. Check out Greg Veroza. All of that information will be on our website soon. But until then...
Good night, Larry.
Good day, Larry.